In the back room of the family boutique, 5 people sat around a table, a laptop glowing open in front of Kenneth.
You stole $9,200 from this store. I have the deposit records to prove it.
I didn't take a single dollar. I've worked here for 6 years. You know me better than that.
Janet, how could you? The car, the timing. I wanted to believe it wasn't true.
$9,000 doesn't just disappear. Somebody in this room knows where it went.
Kenneth said nothing. He flipped open his laptop, and the screen bathed his face in cold blue light. 2 weeks ago, he had upgraded the store's security cameras without telling anyone. The clips on that laptop would end this meeting.
What are you doing, Kenneth? This isn't the time for work emails.
You should have told me the truth. Now everyone's going to see.
He clicked a folder labeled Meeting, and the first frozen frame filled the wall, a woman's hand inside the register drawer. To understand how that frozen frame came to be, you have to rewind 2 years when the boutique was still held together by loyalty that wasn't yet broken.
Look at her. Janet could sell sand in a desert. She's the heart of this place.
Pamela watched from the register, her smile a tight line that didn't reach her eyes. She'd only been working part-time for a few months.
Janet has such a gift with people. The customers absolutely adore her.
Of course she does. She's the daughter. I am just the hired help.
At family dinners, the conversation always orbited Janet's future, how she'd one day run the store. Pamela sat in silence, her own ambitions ignored.
Once you've got more experience, Janet, we'll talk about making you the manager officially.
Nobody asks if I want to manage anything. I am just the son's wife.
She began to see Janet not as family, but as a rival. And in that rivalry, she started cataloging every perceived slight. The fault lines were already there, invisible but deepening. All it would take was a crisis to split them wide open. 3 months later, Robert sat alone in the back office with a stack of deposit slips and bank statements, the color draining from his face.
There's a $9,200 gap. It's been happening for 3 months. Money is vanishing from this store.
That can't be right. We've never had a problem like this. Robert, run the numbers again.
Janet bought a used car 2 weeks ago. Cash. Where would she get that kind of money all of a sudden?
She didn't hesitate. Not even a second to consider any other explanation.
We're having a family meeting this Sunday. Everyone in the back room. No exceptions. We'll get to the bottom of this.
Oh, Janet, please let this be a misunderstanding. I can't bear the thought that she would.
When Janet heard the accusation hours later, she stood very still for a long moment, and then spoke only 3 words.
I didn't take it.
Kenneth said nothing more, but that night he began quietly comparing the deposit records to the shift schedule, matching dates to names. In the dim back office, Kenneth matched each deposit shortfall to the schedule. A cold pattern began to form on his screen.
Every shift my wife closed, alone. Every single one. 200 here, 600 there.
The pattern was undeniable. That same night, he ordered a high-definition security camera, paid for from his own account. 2 weeks before the family meeting, he stayed after closing and mounted the camera high on the wall, its lens aimed at the register. No blind spots, no warning lights. A silent witness that would record everything while he was away.
If I am wrong, no one ever has to know. But if I am right, then the truth comes out Sunday.
He told no one. Not his parents, not Janet, and certainly not the wife he now suspected of stealing from them all. The camera fed into a password-protected drive. Each night, he checked the footage remotely, waiting for proof he dreaded to see. Days passed, the meeting drew closer, and the camera kept rolling, capturing every moment behind the counter. By Saturday night, the drive held hours of footage. All he had to do now was sit through that meeting and press play. Late Saturday night, Kenneth sat alone in the back office, the new camera's footage loading across his screen.
Let's see what really happened.
He fast-forwarded to a Tuesday evening shift that Pamela had closed alone. The timestamp read 8:47 p.m. On the screen, Pamela opened the register, glanced around, and pocketed a fold of cash.
That's $400, right there.
He kept watching. 8 more clips, each from a different night, each one showing the same theft. The total, caught on camera, came to $7,400. The rest was before the upgrade. He saved each file into a folder labeled Meeting and stared at the screen for a long time.
I didn't want it to be you, but you didn't leave me a choice.
By the time he closed the laptop, he knew his course. The family meeting was tomorrow. That morning, in the kitchen of their home, Kenneth decided to give Pamela one last chance to tell him the truth.
Pamela, there's been a pattern on your shifts. The deposits are off. Do you know anything about it?
Are you accusing me? Your own wife? After everything I've done for this family? Maybe you should ask your sister. She's the one with the sudden cash for a car. I am sure she'd love to pin this on me.
She's lying right to my face. The same way she lied to everyone else. I only wanted to hear the truth from you. That was your last chance.
Pamela scoffed and left the room, but Kenneth didn't follow. Instead, he went to his laptop and opened the evidence folder. He spent the next hour syncing each clip to a deposit record, building a timeline that left no room for doubt.
Tomorrow, everyone sees what I saw, and nothing she says will change the footage.
He saved the timeline, then drafted a single email to himself. The subject line read, Sunday. The night before the meeting, Janet called her mother, desperate for someone to believe her.
Mom, please. I've never stolen a cent from this family. You know me.
I want to believe you, Janet, but the numbers don't lie, and the timing, it's too much.
Janet hung up and went to the store to close. She stood alone in the dark, her hand on the counter she'd polished for 6 years. Every inch of this place held her loyalty. Now it held an accusation across town. Pamela stood before a mirror, practicing her lines.
I never wanted to believe it, but she's been lying to all of us. The evidence is right there.
She forced a tremor into her voice, a wounded dignity she'd perfected for the morning at the store. Kenneth connected the projector and tested the connection. A white rectangle lit the wall.
Tomorrow, everyone sees what I saw.
Sunday afternoon. The boutique's front door wore a closed sign. In the back room, the family gathered like jurors before a trial.
This is a family matter, but $9,200 is not a small sum. Someone here knows where it went.
I've already said it. I didn't take the money. I've never stolen anything in my life.
Then explain the new car, Janet, and the cash deposit showing up in your savings account.
Linda's hand went to her cross necklace, her eyes glistening as she looked from her daughter to her daughter-in-law.
I didn't want to believe it, but I've kept notes. The dates match shifts you worked alone.
You have no proof. Because I've done nothing wrong.
Steady. Let her finish. The truth is coming.
On the wall, the old clock ticked past 6:47. 20 minutes of accusation had already passed. Kenneth had listened to every word. His hand rested near his laptop, still closed.
Over the past 3 months, I started noticing small things. Cash never added up after shifts. Janet closed alone. I didn't want to believe it. I tried to cover for her, honestly. But then the car appeared and I couldn't stay silent.
You have no proof. Because I've never taken anything from this store. My savings are my own.
I don't know what to believe anymore. I just want this to stop.
20 minutes of lies. Enough.
The room fell silent. Kenneth leaned forward and placed his hand flat on the laptop lid.
Everyone's had their say. Now it's my turn.
He didn't look at Pamela. He looked at his parents, then at Janet. His fingers lifted the lid. The screen glowed to life, and the projector beam cut across the dim room.
I think everyone should see something.
He navigated to a folder marked Meeting and opened the first file. Pamela's mouth opened in protest, but no sound came out.
Kenneth, what are you doing? This is completely inappropriate. We should be discussing Janet.
The wall lit up with a frozen frame from the security camera. A woman stood at the register, her back to the camera, hand inside the open drawer.
That's not. That angle is new. When did you?
She knew the height, the lens, the camera. She didn't know existed, silently recording her shifts.
Now everyone will see the truth. No more lies.
He clicked play. The timestamp began to run, and the woman on screen moved.
You can't spring something like this. It's a violation of privacy. I won't sit here and be railroaded.
Kenneth didn't look at her. On the screen, the woman at the register glanced around, then pocketed a stack of 20s. The room fell utterly silent. Robert's jaw tightened. Linda's hand flew to her mouth. Janet didn't blink.
March 3rd. The deposit was $480 short that night.
On the screen, the woman's face turned toward the camera for a split second. It was unmistakably Pamela.
You doctored that footage. You are just trying to protect your sister.
The timestamp is embedded. The camera was installed before that shift. This isn't a fabrication.
He clicked the next file without waiting for her reply.
March 10th, short $600. The same pattern.
Linda covered her mouth, tears spilling. Robert sat frozen, his knuckles white against the table.
After 6 years of loyalty, someone finally saw the truth. She didn't need to speak. The footage spoke for her.
Stop it, Kenneth. You are humiliating me in front of your parents. This is character assassination.
He still had 7 more clips, and he intended to play every one. The room braced. The evidence was mounting. The next 7 clips were a relentless parade of guilt. March 15th, March 22nd, April 1st. Each date. The same hand, the same register, the same deliberate motion of counting cash and slipping it away.
Total on camera, $7,400. The rest was before the new system.
The wall went dark. A thick, suffocating silence filled the room. On the other side of the table, Linda's quiet sobs were the only sound.
You can't do this. That footage is incomplete. I was planning to put it back.
She stumbled backward, knocked her chair over, and made for the door. Kenneth stepped sideways, his solid frame blocking the exit.
Sit down, Pamela.
She froze, the sound of her name from his mouth like a verdict. The room held its breath. In the quiet, Janet unfolded her hands and looked at her mother.
I told you I didn't take it.
Kenneth didn't look at his wife. He looked at his sister and nodded. The truth was no longer in doubt. The silence stretched for 30 seconds. Then Robert spoke, his voice hollow but steady.
I won't call the police, but you will pay back every dollar, plus interest, within 12 months, and you will never set foot in this store again.
That's not enough. She accused an innocent person and stole from her own family.
It's what we're doing. I won't drag this family through a public trial.
Pamela's face was white, her rehearsed dignity stripped to the bone. She gathered her purse with trembling fingers.
Go home, pack a bag, and be gone by sundown.
She walked out without a word. The click of her heels on the floor was the only sound, echoing until the door shut. The 4 of them sat in the sudden quiet, the empty chair a monument to everything that had just shattered. Janet looked at Kenneth. He couldn't meet her eyes. His marriage had just died in front of them all. She didn't say a word. She simply reached across and placed her hand on his. They had both lost something today. 90 days after the family meeting, Kenneth signed the last divorce paper. He didn't contest anything. He just wanted out. At the boutique, the holidays came and went in a muted blur. Janet worked her shifts, and Linda worked hers, often without a single word between them. Linda avoided the back office whenever Janet was in it. She busied herself with inventory, with cleaning, with anything that kept her eyes on the shelves and not on her daughter.
She still can't look at me, as if I was the one who lied.
The weekly family dinners continued. but the empty chair screamed louder than any conversation. Kenneth took a sparse studio apartment. He'd stand by the window in the evenings, the divorce decree tucked in a drawer, and watch the cars pass. Little by little, he started showing up at the store again. Not to work, just to be near someone who didn't expect him to be okay. Janet would bring him coffee without asking. They'd sit in the back office, not saying much, just sharing the silence. But the distance between mother and daughter didn't shrink. It sat in the room like a third person. Impossible to ignore. The store was making money again. The books balanced. But some debts can't be repaid on a spreadsheet. One evening, Linda broke down in the kitchen after the shop closed. Robert found her gripping the counter, tears streaming.
Robert, I accused our own daughter. She'll never forgive me, and I don't deserve it.
She will, Linda. But you have to ask. She's still waiting.
That night, Linda picked up the phone with trembling hands. Janet answered on the second ring.
Janet, it's Mom. I was wondering, would you come to dinner Saturday? Just the two of us.
The line went quiet. Janet closed her eyes. She knew this call had cost her mother more than any words.
Okay, I'll be there.
2 weeks after the family meeting, on a quiet Saturday evening, Janet drove to her parents' house with a small bouquet in her hand. Linda had set a simple table, 2 places. The afternoon light fell softly on the empty chairs. They were about to have the conversation that should have happened years ago, and the weight of it filled the room. Janet stepped onto the porch, bouquet in hand, and Linda opened the door before she could knock. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Then Janet held out the flowers. Linda took them with trembling hands and found a vase. She filled it slowly, her back still to Janet. The table had been set with the china they only used at Christmas. 2 plates, candles, and a heavy silence. They sat and ate without speaking. The only sound was the scrape of silverware and the metronome of the clock. Finally, Linda set her fork down. She didn't lift her eyes from the plate.
I don't know how to start. I've rehearsed this 100 times, and none of the words feel right.
Then start at the beginning, Mom. I am listening.
Linda lifted her head and met Janet's eyes for the first time since the accusation. The apology began in that look. Janet didn't look away. She waited. The dinner that would mend everything had truly begun.
I wanted to believe Pamela, because it was easier than facing the idea that our family could be so broken. I ignored every sign. I let her poison my mind against you, my own daughter. I accused you of something you would never do, and I will regret that for the rest of my life.
You hurt me, Mom, more than you know. But I understand fear. And I know you were scared. You are my mother. I love you.
Will you forgive me?
Janet took her mother's hand, their fingers intertwining across the candle flame.
I already have. I forgave you before I walked through that door.
Linda broke down, and Janet came around the table to hold her mother as she wept. The first real family repair had begun. They finished dinner slowly, the conversation lighter. The weight of the past weeks finally beginning to lift. A few weeks after the apology dinner, Robert and Linda asked Janet to stay behind when the boutique closed for the night. They had something important to give her.
We've been setting aside every repayment Pamela sent. It's yours.
You've given so much to the store. Now let it give something back.
Janet opened the card. Inside was a check for $9,200, plus the interest Pamela had paid.
Mom, Dad, I don't know what to say. This is so generous.
You deserve this, Janet. You've earned it.
Linda hugged her tightly. "Thank you for forgiving me," she whispered. That night, Janet sat at her small desk, the check beside her laptop, as she browsed a small business MBA program.
This could finally be my chance.
By midnight, her application was complete. The check sat beside her like a promise. A new chapter was beginning, and this time, it was entirely hers. 2 weeks later, an acceptance letter arrived. Janet tore it open and wept in her mother's arms. That fall, she walked into her first MBA orientation. adjusting the strap of her bag.
I can't believe I am really here.
Her routine became brutal. Mornings at the boutique, nights bent over textbooks. More than once, she fell asleep with a highlighter still in her hand. 2 years later, she crossed the stage in a cap and gown, her parents beaming in the audience. That same evening, she hung her diploma in the boutique's back office, on the wall where Kenneth's camera had once been hidden.
You turned the hardest year of your life into this.
Every late night was worth it.
The boutique began to implement her new ideas, and the change was palpable. Janet trained a new employee on a tablet-based inventory app. The old paper logs were gone. Within 2 years, the store's revenue had doubled. A graph on the monitor proved it. The boutique exterior now had modern signage and a vibrant window display. Kenneth, at peace after his divorce, often stopped by with coffee, offering ideas.
You are not a bad boss for a sister who used to steal my snacks.
And you are not a bad advisor for a guy who just counted boxes.
Robert and Linda sat in the boutique, watching their daughter with quiet pride. They had handed her the reins. She had taken the store further than they ever dreamed. Janet moved through the store with calm confidence. The family legacy was secure. She had faced betrayal and emerged as the leader the store needed. The future was bright. In his quiet apartment, Kenneth no longer stared out the window, waiting for time to pass. He woke early, read the news, and smiled at the small things.
For the first time in years, I am not bracing for the next disaster.
He strolled into the boutique later that morning, coffee in hand, and leaned against the counter, while Janet rang up a customer.
You are in a good mood. Did you finally figure out the coffee machine?
Very funny. No, I just like seeing this place run well. It feels settled.
They slipped into the back office, the same one where he had once watched the footage that broke his marriage. Now it held only laughter.
You know, I am proud of you. More than I've said.
I know, Ken. I am proud of us.
The brother who had exposed a lie found his peace in a store rebuilt on trust. No cameras needed now. The truth was enough. At golden hour, Janet locked the boutique door for the last time that night. The street was quiet, the sign flipped to closed. She stood in the doorway, backlit by the setting sun, and looked out at the street. 6 years ago, she had been accused of theft by a sister-in-law who saw her as a threat. But that accusation and the camera that followed had forced the real thief into the light. The store that almost tore them apart now thrived under her leadership. Sometimes, the worst betrayals reveal the strongest loyalties. She smiled, a calm, earned smile. The legacy of this boutique was no longer about the money that was stolen. It was about the truth that was uncovered, and the daughter who finally got her due.